Now, a very prominent member of the Jewish community here in Australia is Dr. Dvir Abramovich. He runs an organisation called the Anti-Defamation Commission, and he joins us to give us his take on what this means for Dvir Perrottet. Thanks very much for your time, Doctor.
Good to be with you as always.
Should Dvir Perrottet resign?
Look, I'm going to leave it to the people of New South Wales to make the moral judgment about this incident. But I can say from a personal experience that hearing his confession about what happened 21 years ago was like being kicked in the stomach. And I think that not just the people of New South Wales, but I think every Australian would have been absolutely devastated. Wearing the Nazi uniform, whether you're 21 or 41, it's a terrible act of insensitivity. It tramples on the feelings of the survivors who have gone through hell. And I think once again it demonstrates that all bets are off when it comes to remembering the Holocaust. And it seems to me that there's no aspect or symbol of the darkest chapter of history that is not subjected to some kind of abuse and cheap trivialization. I think this trend is hitting new lows.
To anyone that's listening to this, just explain why that uniform, that symbolism, is such a horrific memory for anyone that's associated with the Jewish community.
Well, Nazis and the Third Reich and Hitler represent the ultimate evil. They symbolize the darkest and the most inhumane period in history. And I always say to people that when you think about Nazis and when you think about Hitler, there's a few images that you need to think about. And by the way, have repeatedly spoken about the trivialization and the degradation of the Holocaust. And if you feel the urge to reference Hitler in order to stir the emotions or to inflame the debate, you have to think about the following. You have to think about the extermination of 6 million Jews and millions of others. You have to think about more than 1 million children who were either shot or gassed in the gas chambers. You have to think about the mothers clutching their babies and being pushed onto trains, being shot in open fields, or being pushed into the gas chambers, about the crematoriums in Auschwitz that were burning the bodies. The Holocaust is an open wound for every survivor, for their descendants, and for the Jewish community. And when we heard about the New South Wales Premier, I think we were all shocked, but also I think very, very hurt.
So those people that say, look, it's 21 years ago, he was young, naive, it was a humorous gathering of friends which decided to make it a fancy dress party for his 21st. How do you reflect on that kind of view? And I know that Dvir Perrottet just says it was a terrible, terrible mistake. But how do you reflect on the idea that, oh, look, it was 21 years ago. Please, haven't we moved on?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll say that I think anyone over the age of 18 should have known about the horrors of the Holocaust, and that it has to be approached with respect and sensitivity, that there's nothing entertaining, that there's nothing funny about Hitler and about the regime that is responsible for the machinery of death and for the industrialized liquidation of millions of people. However, at the same time, I think we should accept the Premier's apology, because I do think it is sincere. I also appreciate the fact that he said that he's going to reach out to the Jewish community. And I do acknowledge that this admission would have been very, very difficult. I have called on him, first of all, to make sure that he meets with Holocaust survivors and hears the story. The second thing that I hope is that the Premier goes and visits Auschwitz or any other death camp in order to understand in a comprehensive and full way what took place during this period. And yes, I get it. I think there will be many people, especially Holocaust survivors, but also the children and the grandchildren of the diggers who fought to defeat Hitler, who would be very, very upset today, would be angry with the Premier for waiting for so long to actually come out and tell us what happened all these years ago.
Dvir, I do appreciate your insight and obviously the lessons that you can teach many people who may be still pretending to be naive to why this is such a sensitive issue. Thanks very much for your time.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.